Hi there, and welcome to another one of those weird videos which has an extreme danger of actually being useful to someone. Some of you will know that in my day job I work in the building energy management system industry, so I have a vested interest in energy management. That includes the cost of energy at home, because like most people I am suffering at the hands of this cost of living crisis and the cost of energy. I have got some information about the price cap which is due to change in October 2023, which is quite important. You will definitely hear Martin Lewis going on about this nearer the time, and rightly so, but it is important information. Now, the price cap itself was last adjusted in July 2023, and in and of itself it's both useful and a really bad way of assessing the cost of energy. Firstly, it's called a price cap when it's actually nothing of the sort. It is an average cost of energy for people throughout the UK. That is it. That's all it is. However, there are price cap elements to it. So probably the best place to start this is just to explain what we mean by the price cap. Now, one of the first things to point out here is I've rounded everything up and down. So all these figures are very approximate, but there's only like £1 or £2 in it. But I've looked at the actual price cap for July 2023 here, which is set at £2,043 a year. That's made up of £1,051 for electricity and £992, which is made from your gas bill. So this is for people who've got both gas and electricity. The reason that it shouldn't really be called a price cap is that it's actually not a cap on the amount that you will pay. It is an average for most people in Britain. It is made up of two elements. It is made up of a standing charge. That is the money you pay every month on your gas and electricity bill to have those utilities into your property. So regardless of whether you use any gas or no gas or electricity at all, you will still pay this standing charge. And currently that is at an all-time high of £202 a year for electricity and £100 a year for gas. We also have an element of our bills which are set based on the unit charge. That is the number of kilowatt hours that we have consumed. Now, this is the real price cap. This is the thing which is actually capped by Ofgem, and so you do not pay, or you will never pay, more than this. Now, the idea of this being a cap was that when we still had choice in our industry, then this would be the maximum amount that you would ever pay if you were on a flexible tariff. What's actually happened, because there's loads of people gone bust and various other reasons, we now see that most people are on a flexible tariff. So what is the price cap is actually the amount that most people will pay for their electricity and their gas. That is currently set at July 2023 at 0.293 pence per kilowatt hour, so 29.3 pence per kilowatt hour for electricity and 7.4 pence per kilowatt hour for gas. Just to make things more confusing, when you have a gas meter in your house, it doesn't actually measure kilowatt hours. Electricity meters do, but gas meters don't. What gas meters do is they measure cubic meters of gas that are delivered to your property. And in order to work out the kilowatt hours from the cubic meters of gas, you have to apply a correction factor. Now, the first thing is the calorific value of the gas. That is how much energy is contained in the gas that is delivered to your property. Now, this has to be between certain limits, but an average is 39.5 megajoules per meter cubed. So for every cubic meter of gas that's delivered, you are getting 39.5 megajoules of energy in that. We also have a volume correction factor, which is a standard figure, which is set at 1.02264. This accounts for the temperature and pressure of the gas which is put into your property. So as temperature increases, so the gas expands. So the same amount of calorific value will occupy a larger cubic meterage, if you like, or a larger volume. So we apply this correction factor. And the last thing that happens on your bill is that there's a correction factor to change from megajoules to kilowatt hours. So we divide the total by 3.6. So it's an overall correction factor of about 11.22, a multiplication factor that we need to apply to our meters cubed. So now that we know how we get our kilowatt hours from our electricity meter and from our gas meter, how do we arrive at that annual consumption figure? Well, it's based on the average consumption of an average household, which at the moment sits at 2,900 kilowatt hours per year of electricity and 12,000 kilowatt hours per year of gas. So when we are looking at the price cap, what we do is we multiply the 2,900 kilowatt hours multiplied by the price capped unit price, and then we add in the standard charge. Same for the gas. We look at the 12,000 kilowatt hours multiplied by the unit charge plus 100, and that is where we get our £2,043 a year from. However, the figures are based around average consumption. What happens when gas and electricity are at an all-time high? Obviously, people try and use less of it. So when Ofgem are making their calculations, they base it on an average consumption. And what's going to happen in October is that that average consumption is going to be reduced to reflect people's actual use. So that means instead of being 2,900 kilowatt hours per year of electricity and 12,000 kilowatt hours per year in gas, we are going to see the figures based on 2,700 kilowatt hours per year of electricity and 11,500 kilowatt hours per year of gas. And that makes a significant difference to how we calculate what we are told is the price cap, because now the figures are going to be based on lower usage amounts, which means that if the unit price and the standing charge remained exactly the same in October 2023, then what you will see is an annual price cap of £1,944 a year, which is a reduction of 5%. However, it's not a reduction of 5%. If you use exactly the same amount of gas next year as you did last year and the price doesn't change, you will not see a reduction. Now, this isn't some elaborate con. I mean, it is, but it isn't. It is to try and make the whole process much more simple for people to understand by giving them an average use. But because we are changing what average use actually is, that price cap figure can look as though it's coming down. So when you see a reduction in your energy bills in October, be wary. It should come down. The unit price is set to come down. They haven't actually said it yet, but it is due to come down. But it will be based on lower consumption figures. Like I say, if you don't already follow Martin Lewis, then you should, because he's brilliant. He's all over this. I'm sure this will come up in a talk that he's doing nearer the time. But it is going to make bills look as though they are artificially deflated when they're not. They're based on lower consumption figures because we're all so poor, we're actually using less energy. In essence, it's quite a good thing. Saving the planet as a result, but do be aware of this when you're assessing what you might be paying in October 2023. This video is obviously a little bit of a departure from the usual tripe that I put out there, but I really think it's important that people get this information. It is quite complicated to understand what this price cap is, because it's not actually a cap. It's all about average consumption, and I really wish that they would change the name of it rather than calling it an annual price cap, because it's not that. If you're as fastidious about keeping an eye on your bills as me, you probably already know this stuff, but hopefully this video has been of use to someone. Keep your eyes out in October for these changes. Thanks for watching.